Alright, so we're going to take a little break from talking about destroying Xboxes to finish up the Predator story that you guys are all anxiously waiting, and I promise you I'll not let you down because it is a pretty doozy ending. So this is an older gameplay on my secondary account on the Xbox, which I no longer have a working Xbox, as I'm sure many of you guys know, but that doesn't really matter, I guess, for now because this is a stockpile game, but it was pretty exciting. I'm trying to keep with the trend of using weapons you don't normally see, so that trend will continue. Anyways, so when I last left you guys, we were meeting the child predator mailman from Chicago at a movie theater face to face, and we got there and we couldn't find him, like I said, and so finally I go into the bathroom and I find the guy, and I tell my friend, yeah, he's in the bathroom. And so this guy, finally, we know he's there, so he walks outside. And I know how I said that basically we came up with the idea, for whatever reason, that we were going to just walk up next to him and call him on the phone. And then when he answered, it'd be really obvious that we're standing right next to him talking to him. So that's what we do. And the guy looks over, and he's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, this is the wrong number. And we're like, really, dude, this is really the route you're going to take at this point. We're standing next to you talking on the phone, and he's going to claim we have the wrong number. So anyways, this guy starts looking at us, and he starts walking. And you got to imagine that there's a bus stop across the street from this movie theater, but it's next to a Meijer, which is kind of like a downgraded Walmart. So there's a Meijer, and then there's just a strip of just like chain stores like Best Buys, restaurants, Applebee's, and it just goes for about a mile all the way down to the hotel. So he starts walking to this Meijer because it turns out that for whatever reason he had the foresight to not drive to the movie theater, which I found extremely odd because he texted us that he had walked down from the Drury Inn, which you gotta imagine this is a mile down the road from where we're at this point, which is the movie theater, because it goes like the movie theater is basically at the end of the line, and there's nothing else past the movie theater for the most part. So he walked by like all these stores just to get down there, which I don't know why he chose to do that. Even to this day, I don't know. That was probably a pretty dumb move on his part because it would have been a lot less painful for him if he would have had driven. So, anyways, he starts walking across the street, and my friend, like I said, he's a big guy. He's like, "Hey, get back here!" And he starts. He says something about being, the older brother, and this guy just like freaks out. And he starts walking really fast, and so my friend, he's like, he starts, walking after him, obviously, and I think he's just kind of acting by instinct at this point because he doesn't really know what to do. Because I mean, it's not like every day you have to figure out how to keep a predator from getting out of your your hands. So this guy starts walking away, and so my friend's like, "Oh, no, no, no!" So he starts walking after him, and then the guy starts to run. And remember when I said his hotel is a mile away, and I'm not kidding. It was a mile away. I'm gonna put a Google map in here right now, and you can see how far down the road it was. So he starts running, and my friend's like, "Oh no!" So he starts running after him, and I honestly don't know why he decided to start running after him. I stayed back because our car was there and it wasn't locked. But in retrospect, my friend should have probably given me the keys to his car so I could have met him down the mile of the road. But alas, I am stuck there because I did not drive with no car, no keys at a movie theater, and everybody's looking at us at this point. And he's chasing him down the road, and I'm kind of walking slowly behind him because there's no point in me trying to run after him because I'm not going to catch up to him because I got such a head start. Even though I would say I'm probably more fit than the mailman, there's no way I would have caught up at that point. So I'm walking by, and as I walk by, I can just see the people watching my friend chase him through these parking lots, and they're all asking me what's going on. Do they need to call the cops? And I'm like, no, no. And then one one carload of people drives by, and it's like, yeah, get him, because I guess they realized what was going on. They followed us from the movie theater, and somehow they were able to figure out that this guy was like trying to mess with our sister or something. So I don't know, but so yeah, we're chasing him down the road, and this guy's running. He's making a beeline back to his hotel, and so my friend finally gets down there, and I'm talking to him on the phone at this point. He's like, yeah, we finally made it down to the Applebee's, which is not too far from the hotel, and he says that it's kind of like, I guess you would say, the two-thirds point, and my friend's like, yeah, he's tried to stop and reason it with me, but he wouldn't actually like say anything. Like my friend was just like, he was like, man, we can get out of this. Just stop and talk to me about it. And the guy apparently just gave him like this like stone cold look, like he absolutely had no reaction, and he just didn't even like have any like argument to why he's doing what he's doing. He kept denying it, and it's just like at this point, wouldn't you have some sort of defense against your stuff other than denying it? But anyways, the guy's denying it, and so he starts to run again. So the reasoning with him didn't work because at this point my friend just wanted to get a confession out of him, and he was going to send him on his way because it was obvious this guy was scared. And I think he was scared that we were going to call the cops. So finally he makes it back to his hotel and he runs in. Unfortunately, we are not able to find out what room he is in. So at this point, I've been picked up by some other people, and I go to the Drury Inn where my friend's been standing waiting for him to come out. So he knows, like, we know that he hasn't come out. So he goes back in, and apparently the guy had checked out without us seeing, and he's able to beeline it out of there. And then we call him up on the phone, and we're not expecting him to answer, but we leave a voicemail saying like, yeah, we're the person's sister, and if you don't call us back, we're just gonna go to the cops, because obviously we know who he is, we have his name, we have like his would you hit this profile. And so he's on his way back to Chicago at this point. He's driving back to Chicago, and this man is like pleading. He calls us back, and at this point he's finally sympathetic, and he wants he wants to talk. He wants to he wants to hear what we want to do about this whole situation. He's just apologizing, and at one point he starts to cry. And at this point I'm just like, man, I kind of feel bad. But then I think about it, and I'm like, no, I don't feel bad at all. And by the way, the Stakeout doesn't have that kind of range. That's why I died. But anyways, yeah, I was like, no, I can't feel bad for this guy. But he's crying, he's upset, he's like, man, you're going to ruin my life, I'm going to get fired from my job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, wow, you're a child predator. I really don't feel bad if you would lose your job. Because honestly, there's no point in people like that being allowed in society, at least until they get help. So I definitely lost any sympathy I had for the man after the first like couple seconds of thinking about it. So he's pleading with us, and he's like, yeah, I'm already on my way back to Chicago. And he's like, my friend's trying to figure out what to do, and he's like, what can I do to get you to not tell the cops? And we're like, well, turn around right now. And he's like, I'll give you money. That's what he said. And we're like, all right, turn around right now and give us $200. And he's like, I'm going to have to go to Chicago first. And he claims to, this is only 30 minutes in, and I live over 2 hours away from Chicago, and he claims to almost already be back to Chicago. And he's like, yeah, I don't have any money on me, and I don't have an ATM card, which is a lie, by the way. He does have an ATM card, but he claims to almost be back to Chicago and that he'll get money there, then drive back to Champaign and give it to us. So at the end of the day, what happens is we're sitting here and we're on the phone with this guy for the entire way back to Chicago, like just talking to him and just messing with him, and he's obviously upset, and my friend's trying to reason with him, and finally they agree upon a price of $200, which is kind of ridiculous, but the guy gets, he claims to have gone back to Chicago, so we don't hear from him for a while. We're sitting here waiting, and finally we get a call from him. And he's like, all right, I'm back in town. And we're like, there's no way this guy has driven to Chicago, gotten money, and then driven back to Champaign and put this money. So we agree upon a spot. And the guy picks a very obscure location. He puts the $200 in a Dasani bottle and lays it outside of Buffalo Wild Wings in a bush. And that is the way, like when we went to collect the money, he claims to have put it there. And when we went to collect the money, I was shocked when I found it. Like I was the one who walked over to the bush to retrieve it, and I looked down and it's actually there. And at that point, I was just lost for words. I was laughing so hard inside and so hard outside to the fact that this guy actually put $200 in a Dasani bottle outside of Buffalo Wild Wings, and just to cover up the fact that he thinks that we're on to the fact that he was trying to holler at our 15-year-old sister. So at this point, we're like, wow. So we split up the money between ourselves. I mean, I was a little bit nervous about the whole thing because obviously that was like some sort of extortion. To this day, he does not know that we were not related to her or that we were even, that we tried to set him up or anything. He just thinks that the brother found out and tried to come to get some justice. So, yeah, we got our $200. Kevin, or not Kevin, the new pervert has been served his justice way better than the old one. He definitely got the message. But what's funny is while we were doing all this, I was sitting at home in my apartment and I was monitoring it, And apparently he actually did drive back to Chicago because his "would you hit this" profile was gone before he even actually delivered the money. So the first thing on this guy's mind was the fact that he needed to delete that profile. At the same time, he deactivated his AIM account, which, if you don't know, is actually difficult to do. You actually have to go through a bunch of hoops to deactivate it, and a lot of times you have to go through some customer support to do that, because you can't actually delete an AIM profile just straight up. So he went through a lot of effort to make sure he covered his tracks before he returned with the money, which I thought was really incriminating, because if we needed to, we had all the information we needed on this guy. There was no reason for me to, like, I didn't need those to still exist to prove that he was, messed up, because we had all the chat logs and stuff saved. But anyways, that was how the story ended. I thought that the perverted mailman got what he deserves. I actually have a little bonus story if you guys would be interested in hearing it, which actually relates back to wouldyouhitthis.com. But I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the story. Be sure to rate it and subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment and let me know if you guys would like to see the second half of this little bonus story. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.